Good morning, colleagues. I think we should start. HOD, where's your MEC? Good morning, colleagues. I think we should start. Let me take the opportunity to welcome the honorable members. I see we have a full complement. I know that we have one apology from Member Msimang, who's going to be joining us late due to family commitment. I'm not aware of any other. Member Diacher, no, he's not feeling well. One of the very active members of this committee, so it will only be those. The Member Masoling also. But the rest of us are here, and thank you very much for that. It indicates how we're taking our work serious, but also to extend the same to the support staff of the committee, Jabu, Sizwe, Ntombi, and others, for the sterling work that you are doing to support the committee. Let me also take this opportunity to extend my welcome to our key stakeholders, MEC, and your team. Without you, we will not be in a position to can do our work effectively. And also welcome the Auditor General of South Africa as one of our stakeholders who are here. Let me also take the opportunity and welcome the esteemed members of the communities of Gauteng who are here, who have heeded the call of joining the Portfolio Committee and listened to the Department of CoGTA presenting its Budget 7 for 2025-2026 financial year, because that's the major thing that has brought us together today. But in terms of the rules of the House, we've got to declare this area a legislature area, and I'm going to be doing that quickly, or to declare it a precinct, so as to enable the legislature rules to regulate us. So I, Mzgaifani Kumalo, Chairperson of CoGTA Portfolio Committee, hereby declare that the Fairways and Golf Course Hotel in Rand Park Ridge, City of Johannesburg, as a precinct of the Gauteng Provincial Legislature in terms of Rule 56, subsection 2 of the Standing Rules of the Gauteng Legislature, version 5, revision 2, read together with section 2(1) and section 28 of the Powers, Privileges and Immunities of Parliament and Provincial Legislature Act number 4 of 2004. For the duration of this meeting, this place will be precinct of the Gauteng Provincial Legislature. Thus, the standing rules of the legislature will apply and govern all engagement for the day. The precinct of the Parliament or the Provincial Legislature is described as follows. 1. The precinct of the Parliament is the area of land and every building or part of building under Parliament control, including the chambers in which the proceedings of the House are conducted and the galleries and lobbies of the chambers, every part of the building in which the chambers are situated, and every forecourt, yard, garden, enclosure, or open space tenant thereto. Committee rooms and other meeting places provided are used primarily for Parliament and purposes, and every other building or part of the building provided or is used in connection with proceedings of Parliament while so used. I now want to check with the members. Do we confirm that?
Yes, Chair.
Thank you very much. Members have duly confirmed. So the area is now declared a legislature precinct. Can we then move to apologies? Ms. Ntombi Mtembu.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning, honorable members, Chairperson, MEC, and colleagues. We've received the following apologies. Member Msimang, who is not feeling well. Member Masuleng, who's also not feeling well. Member Ngobeni, who is currently attending safety, which is running concurrently with this meeting. And thank you.
Are we okay with the apologies, members? Member Raslungwana.
Thank you so much, Chairperson, and good morning to all colleagues present. I think Usis Dombi, Chair, have just not mentioned Member Dihaha. You had mentioned earlier that he's also not feeling well.
And I take it that you're moving for the acceptance of the apologies. Thank you very much. May we proceed to the next item, which is the confirmation of the program of the day or the agenda, if you so like. We're going to receive the opening remarks by the chairperson, and we're going to receive the presentation by the MEC on the budget itself. And then we're going to be allowing for the submission from stakeholders after that has been done. And we allow questions and answers, wherein we will allow the department to answer questions that would have been raised by the stakeholders. We will then have vote of thanks and closure. That would be the program of the day. May I have one member moving for the adoption thereof?
Chair, I move for the adoption of the program.
My chairperson has moved for the adoption of the program. He knows why I'm saying that. Any seconder?
I second it.
Ubaba has seconded. Thank you very much. Nathi sino baba wethu. Yeah. Sino wethu baba. Yeah, but we are not contesting the other stuff. Ubaba wethu in the committee. So in terms of the opening remarks, MEC and HOD and your team from the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Office and that of the Auditor General, I will take this opportunity again to welcome you, including the honorable members and the esteemed guests. I want to also take this opportunity to greet you. Good morning, colleagues. It is both a privilege and responsibility to open today's engagements on Budget Vote 7 for the 2025-26 financial year. This moment is not merely a procedural checkpoint, it is a critical opportunity to reflect on our shared mandate to strengthen cooperative governance, deepen democratic accountability, and ensure that the promise of developmental government is realized in every community across the province. We meet at a time when the demand on our municipalities are intensifying. Communities are calling for responsive service delivery, ethical leadership, and tangible progress in revitalizing urban and rural spaces alike. The Department of CoGTA plays a pivotal role in enabling this transformation through policy oversight and targeted support. As a portfolio committee, our role is to ensure that the budget before us is not only technically sound, but strategically aligned with the priorities of the people we serve. We must therefore ask, 1, does this budget advance the principle of cooperative governance? 2, does it address the systematic challenges facing municipalities, particularly those under administration or those that are in financial distress? 3, does it empower traditional leadership structures in a way that is inclusive, respectful, and developmentally focused? On strategic priorities for 2025-26, in our oversight work as a committee, we have identified several key areas where this budget must deliver or impact on. 1, on municipal revitalization and urban management, the revitalization of cities like Johannesburg must be underpinned by coherent planning, intergovernmental coordination, and measurable outcome. Budget allocation must reflect this agency. The second point, on capacity building and governance support, we must invest in the institutional resilience of municipalities through training systems development and ethical leadership programs. Point 3, public participation and accountability. We must strengthen ward committees, community forums, and participatory budgeting processes, which are essential to restoring public trust. The fourth point, disaster risk reduction and climate resilience. As the climate-related shocks increases, our municipalities must be equipped to respond proactively and equitably. And I think, MEC, this is the one area that we really are found wanting. 5, support for traditional leadership. The budget must affirm the role of traditional leaders as partners in development, particularly in rural governance and land use management. Those will be the key points that would have been identified as we do our work. In terms of our oversight and accountability, let us all be clear. Every rent allocated must be accounted for. Underspending, misalignment, and poor project planning are not just technical issues, but they are governance failures with real consequences for communities. This committee will continue to exercise robust oversight, not only during the budget cycle, but throughout the implementation period. We call on the department to ensure that monitoring and evaluation mechanisms are strengthened, that quarterly report is transparent, and that corrective action is taken where performance lacks. A call to collaboration. Honorable members, this is not the departmental budget alone. It is a collective instrument for change. Let us approach today's deliberation with a spirit of constructive engagement, rigorous scrutiny, and shared purpose. Together, we can ensure that budget vote 7 becomes a level for transformation, one that brings dignity, opportunity, and hope to every corner of our province. I will now, having made these remarks, allow the department, without any waste of time, to make its presentation. Honorable MEC.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Let me take the opportunity to greet all the honorable members of the Portfolio Committee and appreciate the opportunity as we look forward to a very fruitful engagements. Let me also take the opportunity to dumedisha baeng ba ba beng gona ka mo ntlong e, dumelang le kae na re a kwa re ke marega go a tonya le madume a gona a tšwe gabotse le kae na a wa kgotswa ya te re lebogile baeng ke re go lena ke re a le dumediša rena re memilwe mo meeting o ke modulasetulo le maloko a šomang le bona ba re tle re ba tlhalosetše mabapi le ditšhelete tša department ya CoGTA gore na di lo šoma bjang bjalong re rata go le dumediša ge le lena ge le tlile go tlo kwa tša ditšhelete gore na department e šoma bjang. Bjalong Chairperson, without any much ado, without any waste of time, let me just ask that you allow our head of department, the HOD, to present to you. And of course, we will then take up the discussions. But before the HOD come, we had made an offer to the committee for an offline off-the-record discussion. And that meeting has not taken place. We have written, Chair. I must also disclose that we have hosted the Portfolio Committee of DID, a very good meeting, outside your protocols here, so the experience was very good. So I just want to emphasize that it will be very good for the committee to come back to us on an offline discussion as per the request we have made. But otherwise, Chair, having said that, let me defer to the accounting officer, Dr. Darion Bartley, to take us through. HOD?
Thank you very much, MEC, and good morning to the Chair and all the members and also all our stakeholders in the meeting. Chairperson, now I'll ask that the presentation be flighted. Chair, the department was requested to table a presentation on the appropriation bill, essentially, which is our budget for the financial year. Chair, I must say that as we start with the presentation of the budget, we see this huge amount of money that's in our budget, but we just see the funds, but we don't know what are we going to do with it. So I think, Chair, is a precursor to the discussion on what are the figures are. Let's get an understanding what we intend to do with the budget, and I want us to move straight away on to slide 3. Chair, on this particular slide, Chair, whilst we do have a strategic plan in the department, whilst we do have an annual performance plan in the department, those are two statutory documents that is compulsory in terms of the Public Finance Management Act. But as a department, we have developed a document, what we call Building Smart Cities Through Integrated Infrastructure. You will note that the MEC is also responsible for the Department of Infrastructure Development, and the MEC is also responsible for the Gauteng Financing Infrastructure Agency. And it is within that context, Chair, that we have developed this document. This document, Chair, takes into consideration the challenges in municipalities. And what we say is CoGTA, we say we must use technology as a smart enabler. We must also make sure that we engage communities and to ensure that locally all of the content are prescribed, all of the content are taken into consideration when we prepare our strategy, but then above all, it must be informed by the needs of the community, and it must embrace partnerships and innovation. We cannot build the municipalities without partnerships, Chair. The functional area that we need to focus on is just so big that as government, we cannot do that alone. And of course, once we put all these systems in place, we need to ensure that it's sustainable, resilient, and then safe. Chair, on the next slide, we're just sharing with you, as pronounced eloquently by the Premier in the State of the Province address, that these are the 13 problems that was pronounced by Premier, 13 plus 1. The final one is obviously the sinkholes in Merafong that we are dealing with. Looking at the 13 problems, Chair, looking at our strategy, you can see there is corroboration between what we aim to do and how we're going to execute our strategy. And on the next slide, we're just sharing with you the interrelatedness between the 3 departments and how we intend to leverage on the various skills, technically though in DID, but then also administratively and from a different perspective that is in CoGTA. So, Chair, some of our key objectives is, of course, that with the Smart Cities plan, we need to look at the local government turnaround strategy. At a national level, the Minister has also adopted the municipal turnaround, where Minister indicated that all municipalities must work. Key is, of course, Chair, the challenges in water security, the challenges in energy, and the CBD revitalization. Whilst we are focusing on the city of Johannesburg, our concept documents outlines 10 other CBDs that we need to focus on, but the COJ is the priority. And Chair, the issues of social equity, dealing with the indigent register in municipalities, infrastructure, asset utilization, but then also we have resuscitated now the work in the Greater Alexandra by re-establishing the Greater Alexandra Development Initiative through the various task teams with national and also provincial management, waste management, and then above all, we're looking at job creation. Chair, that will be what we will be using the funds for that has been allocated to us by the MEC for Finance. We do note that there is specific building blocks that we need to look at, and some of that building blocks, Chair, is, you will note what the Auditor General has stated recently, that when we transfer funds to a municipality, it must be a municipality that's above board when it comes to governance. We have recently seen some of the disasters that we have in the Eastern Cape and in KZN, where some of those municipalities need to look at the governance. The audit outcomes are not good, but in the end, we need to support those municipalities, but we need to be mindful how we transfer funds and how do we ensure ethical and accountable governance. So there are building blocks to that, Chair. It's going to be a long way. It's not going to be something that we will be fixing in 1 year. And with that building blocks, we'll have to focus on a risk-based approach. Not all municipalities are at risk, but all municipalities are at risk when it comes to revenue generation, looking at revenue methods, but key amongst all of them is they need to engage the communities. And then we're just outlining some of the implementation steps over the next few slides, what we need to do, how we're going to popularize this document throughout the process. Of course, Chair, with the limited resources, the current fiscal constraints, we need to make sure that our resource allocation is based on where the greatest need lies. And as municipalities are struggling rendering services, various initiatives are in place to support them, whether that is with infrastructure delivery, waste collection, and other service delivery initiatives. I'm sure you have taken keen interest in the project that we have led with Mfuleni, led by the MEC and also the Executive Mayor. Chair, the next few slides just outlining in a bit broader terms the delivery priorities and the delivery agenda. All of these are in sync with the strategy that we use on building on smart cities. And Chair, with the current municipal support that's required, the support that we need to provide through integrated planning and cooperative governance, we hope to strengthen the work that we are doing with municipalities. And as we do that, Chair, we also try to build our IGR structures in making sure that there is a window for municipalities to engage with us, but we do not manage municipalities through documentation that we send to and from CoGTA. Chair, with that overall overview on what we intend to do with the funds, let me allow the CFO to give us a bit of the detail in how the funds has been allocated, which programs have received which funds. And Chair, as we allocate funds to each program, it is based on where the greatest need lie. It's based on where the greatest support needs to be provided to a particular municipality. Chair, let me hand over to the CFO. She can go into the details of the budget. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, HOD, and thank you, MEC. Good morning, Chair of the portfolio members and our members in the room. Thank you. I will focus on the budget that has been allocated overall, and also the spread of the budget over the different programs that we're focusing on. Firstly, I will take the committee through just the processes that we embarked on in finalizing the budget. As you recall that the first budget, the MEC of Finance tabled the first budget in March, and then thereafter, then there were, other processes that are necessitated for the budget to be retabled again in June. It is important to indicate that between the budget that was tabled by the MEC of Finance in March and the budget that was tabled in June for CoGTA department, there were no changes in those budgets. The department is allocated a total of 551 million for the 2025-26 financial year, 571 million for 2026-27, and 599 million for 2027-28, with an overall total of 1.7 billion over the MTF. Compensation for employees is allocated 385 million in 2025-26, 406 million in 26-27, and 425 million in 27-28. Goods and services, it's allocated 150 million in 25-26, 163 million in 26-27, and 168 million in 27-28 financial year. There are no conditional grants allocated to the department over the MTF. The next slide, we look at the budget allocation to the programs. These 4 programs: administration, that focuses on the operations of the department. And then we have local governance, we have development and planning, traditional institute management. Now, with regard to administration, it is allocated 153 million in 25-26, increasing to 155 million and 161 million respectively. The ALAGA indicated the budget is for the departmental administrative functions. With regard to local governance, it's allocated 257 million in 2025-26, increasing to 269 million and 279 million. Now, this unit is primarily responsible for municipal support programs, stakeholder engagement, public participation, municipal monitoring, evaluation, and reporting. The third program, which is development and planning, is allocated 120.2 million in 2025-26, increasing to 129 million and 136 million respectively. The allocation, the unit is responsible for integrated development planning, coordination, disaster management services, and infrastructure monitoring in municipalities. The fourth program, which is traditional institute management, is allocated 20.5 million in the 2025-26 financial year, increasing to 22 million, and I think there's an error, but basically increasing 22 million in 2026-27. This unit is responsible primarily for provision of support to traditional leadership programs, which include the monitoring of provincial initiations, coordination of IGR structures across municipalities, between municipalities and other departments and stakeholders, and across provinces and national departments, and finally coordinates the public consultative forums with all the relevant spheres of government, all the 3 spheres of government. Now we'll just go into a comparison of the budget over the MTF to the past 3 financial years. As you can see, we will focus on the 2025-26, the overall budget. And I need to indicate here, as we look at the comparison between the current financial year to the past 2 financial years, that I make the committee aware of the special project on the energy, the response to the energy crisis that started in 2023-24 and 2024-25, which resulted in the budget increasing to 1 billion in those years. Hence, you see that 46% decline, reduction of the budget from 2024-25 to 25-26. That was because of the allocation for the energy response plan in 2024-25. With regard to the conditional grants, as we indicated, even in the past year, there were no conditional grants allocated, and in the current financial year. And I must indicate also that the conditional grants that the department has been getting were for the EPWP only. There were no conditional grants for any other functions. As we look at administration, the budget has reduced from 165 million to 153 million, overall reduction of 7%. Local governance was reduced from 276 million to 257, overall reduction of 7%. Development planning, because of that energy program, we see a reduction from 554 million to 120 million, overall reduction of 78%. Traditional institutional management, it has gone slightly up, but basically we could say there's relatively no change, just 1% increase from previous financial year. In the next slide, we just go into, narrating on why we are, all the various, factors that surrounds our budget. We've already spoken to the reduction of the 46% as a result of the energy. But the budget was further reduced by 35 million, which is 6%, when we leave out the 430 million of last year of the energy. And this 35 million comprised of compensation for employees of 26.7 million and goods and services of 7.8 million. The transfers to municipalities, mainly for fire services, was reduced by 4 million. We will look at that when we go into our further slides. And we must also, make the committee aware that the budget for the compensation of employees of 385 million is inadequate to actually cater for the current, COE needs. And we are currently in engagements with Treasury regarding additional budget. It is important to also know that the ongoing fiscal constraints for the past 3 years that we are aware of, they have compelled the department to redirect funding from non-core items to priority projects through reprioritization to mitigate the impact of the budget cuts on the department's achievement of core objectives. The department increased monitoring on the implementation of cost containment measures in order to mitigate the impact of the budget constraints. In this slide, we just look now at the comparison of the it's just a breakdown which we've already spoken to regarding the movement of the budget between the current financial year and the past financial year, which we have already spoken to. But what we further do here is actually to also show the movement between the two financial years, leaving out the energy project. So as you can see on this one, this is the movement with regard to compensation, economic classification. As you can see, that compensation, of course, we've already said that it was reduced by 26.79 million. Goods and services, including the energy, that's the reduction of the 437 million. The transfers to municipalities, which we've said was reduced by 4,000. It's sitting at 4 million, my apologies. It's sitting at 8 million for the current financial year. Households, it went up from 1.6 million to 1.7 million. Machinery and equipment, it went up from 2.4 million to 5.7 million. And of course, software and intangibles, there was no allocation in the current financial year. The overall reduction is 465 million. Then we look at the comparison, leaving out the energy project, and when we leave out the energy project, you see that the overall budget in the previous financial year, my apology for that, 25-26 in the first column, is supposed to be 24-25. The budget without energy was 586 million, and comparing to the current budget, it went down to 551 million, that overall decrease of 35 million. Administration went down from 165 to 153 by 12 million. Local governance went down by 18 million. Development and planning went down by 4.5 million. Traditional institutional management went up a little bit by 127,000. In terms of the economic classification, the compensation for employees remains the same, but then we see goods and services went down from 158 million to 150 million. Provincial and local, which is transfers, it does not change. And the household and machinery and equipment, they don't change. The overall budget, basically when you take out the energy, has gone down by 6%. In the next slide, we just look, basically we've already gone through this, but then we go to our overall budget allocation over the MTF period. As you can see that we've already spoken to and said in the current financial year is 551 million, the next financial year 576, and then 599 in the outer year. And then per program, we look at for administration, as you can see, it's the Office of the MEC, and of course, the corporate services, as we indicated. This program is mainly responsible for the running of the department. The next slide is the breakdown for program 2, which is local governance. As we indicated, these are the sub-programs that local governance focuses on. Municipal administration, in the current financial year, the allocation is 16 million. The next financial year is 15 million, and then went down to 15 million and goes up again to 16 million. Municipal finance, it's relatively increasing just by small margin, 24 million in the current financial year, and then 24 million again the next financial year, and 25 million in 27-28. Public participation, 184 million in the current year, 194 million in the next financial year, and then increased to 201 million in 2027-28. Capacity development is 16.8 million in the current year, 17.9, goes a little bit down to 17.8 in 2027-28. Municipal performance, monitoring, reporting, and evaluation, 16 million in the current financial year, 17 million in the next year, and then 18 million in 2027-28. The overall budget increasing from 257 million to 269 in the next financial year, and 279 in the last financial year. Then we look at development planning, that is without the energy. And these are the sub-programs for development planning, land use management. It's allocated 9.4 million, increasing to 10 million and 11 million respectively. Integrated development coordination, it's allocated 31 million over the 3 financial years. Disaster management is allocated 50 million, increasing to 56.7 million, and then 60.7 million in 2027-28. And monitoring in municipal infrastructure is allocated 29.6 million, increasing to 31 million and 32 million overall. Budget increasing from 120 million, increasing from 120 million in the current financial year to 129 million and 136 million. The last program, which is the traditional institute, my apologies, I think there was an error there. But basically the last program that is not there, it's supposed to be the traditional institutional management, which is allocated 22 million. And primarily the program, those funds are primarily for supporting the 2 traditional leadership that we have in the province. Also funding the IGR functions, the coordination of the consultative forums, and also the overseeing the review of policies and legislations. And that brings me to the end of the, the budget allocation. Thank you very much, HOD.
Honorable Chair, the committee have posed some questions to us as a department. I will be guided by you whether we should proceed with the responses to questions straight away, and then we can hand back to yourself and the MEC.
I think you'll deal with the questions when you're answering the questions for all of us. Members, stakeholders, and those questions. You might start with them, those questions, and then you'll see the sequence, how you deal with them, but let's deal with them then. Yeah, there's an item there where the department is going to be allowed to, it's called question and answers item, where you'll be allowed to, so that you deal with them in totality. Thank you. I hope it makes sense. Honorable members, this is your time. We received the detailed budget presented to us. And members of the public, I would also give you, the next item will be your time where I'll give you a chance to also make your contribution, but we'll give members of the committee questions, comments, or observations. Member Delay I saw your hand, am I right? Member Rasilingwane. Chair. Member Musai. In that sequence, thank you. I'll come thereafter.
Thank you, Chair. Greetings to everyone in the House, stakeholders, and the department, MEC, HOD, and your team. Thank you for your presentation. I believe it's detailed. I only have a comment and a few questions, Chair. I've noted that the budget allocated for traditional council, it has increased with 1%. It means they are doing something good, or perhaps they are doing what it's constituted for them to do. But I don't know if we receive these reports as a committee. I would like to see a breakdown in terms of expenditure for the two supported traditional council houses, because I believe we as a committee, we haven't get a chance to actually provide oversight and understand what they're doing with the budget that is allocated to them year in, year out. So I believe maybe if we can make time for us as a committee to provide oversight over that. And the second comment or a question will be, I see the department says it will create about 100,000 jobs over a period of, I believe it's 5 years, through the Smart City project. I'd also like to see a breakdown on these jobs so that we can understand if these are sustainable jobs or temporary jobs, and where are they sitting as compared to this high-level presentation. Maybe we can be provided with that as well. And also, another question will be, the EPWP beneficiaries, because now the conditional grants are not provided for that. Are there any plans for the department to actually deal with the EPWP beneficiaries going forward? And also, are there any plans for hawkers, street vendors, as we also see in the streets of Johannesburg, CBD? Are there any plans in terms of the Smart City project, in terms of the CBD revitalization program? And also, are there any plans for small businesses, if they'll be integrated into the Smart City project? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I was beginning to be worried that you are taking everything. Okay. The next honorable member, I'm very sorry about that. Is it Krasling one?
Thank you so much, Chairperson. I would also just like to start by welcoming the presentation from the department. With my first question being about the Smart City concept. Chair, through you, while we really take note to the fact that the concept on paper really looks very good, it also does sound very good in terms of how we hear for the concept being presented to us. But I think, Chair, we've seen previously that these initiatives, oftentimes when they're not supported with clear timelines, as well as clear KPIs, it often just becomes a buzzword that goes without any accountability. And so my question with regards to the Smart City would be, can the department please provide us with the timelines and the details in terms of the pilot project and the sites that they would be obviously starting their work on, and also just take us into confidence in terms of the measurable implementing performance indicators. Because we've seen before where things are presented to us, however, it takes 20 years or even more without the necessary implementation taking place. So while we appreciate the presentation, would really appreciate if timelines could really be provided. Chair, secondly, the department speaks about the plans to revitalize 10 CBDs. But what we can also see is the presentation that we received really lacks an opportunity to state in terms of how the implementations will go about when we talk about hijacked and reclaimed building reports. And so my question will also be, what portion of the budget that has been presented in front of us here is then ring-fenced to ensure that the CBD revitalization strategy is actually being implemented? And how will the department ensure that intergovernmental and private sectors partnership are in place to unlock the economic potential that we need as Gauteng province? Lastly, the department spoke about the grants, obviously, the conditional grants not being, supported. And my question to the department will then just be, have the department explored or try to motivate, in terms of ensuring that we do get this conditional support or other grants to support, the plans that we have as a department, because if we won't have these resources, then all the plans that we are talking about or the plans that are being presented in front of the committees will just stay on paper and will keep sounding good. However, when it comes to the reality on the ground and service delivery, we will then not be seeing any result. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much. Is it Chair?
Thank you so much, Chair. Greetings to the MEC and of course the team led by the HOD. Chair, mine are just a few issues and just a few questions, but also to complement and at least bring about some suggestions on the objectives that the department are looking at. And I think firstly, I see the department says that they're looking into reducing water leaks by 20%, at least by 2030. And I think this will also speak, Chair, to ensuring that we provide oversight and ensure that there's good leadership in municipalities. I think we've got one weakest link in terms of a municipality called Mfulweni. I think in one of our meetings, they could not even provide a plan as to how will they undertake in reducing this water leaks. And I think in Mfulweni, the MEC, we really need to crack the whip. Politically, there's no leadership even in the administration. And I think we need to ensure that whatever goals we have, we monitor that municipality to be able to assist us to achieve our objectives. Chair, of course, on the building of smart cities and of course revitalizing the CBDs. Of course, we would want, Chair, a detailed plan on the inclusion of vulnerable groups to participate in those economic activities. You speak about those who are disabled, women, and of course, most importantly, youth, just to bring about that plan. And this comes to the creation of the 100,000 jobs. We must be deliberate in planning. How do we integrate the youth, those who are disabled, and of course, women? I think if we have that plan, we'll then be able to guide those who will be project managers as to where they must look at so that we don't get reports of exclusion of these groups. Chair, maybe we might want to suggest that in rebuilding these cities, we look at the current crisis that we have in terms of student accommodations and hijacked buildings. And of course, maybe we might want to have a discussion with universities and TVET colleges that are around our cities on how can we turn our cities to, especially those hijacked buildings, to student accommodation. I think the buildings that we have in our cities now, that tend to places where young people will then be taken to prostitution, or maybe there are places of entertainment, and a lot of unlawful activities. And I think if we are rigorous and deliberate in ensuring that we create a student hub in our own cities, because I think most businesses are even leaving the CBDs or the city centers, going to seek to be placed elsewhere. And I think what you find in the city would be students in the main. And when we talk to waste management, and also trying to assist ourselves to at least preserve some energy, maybe the department can look into issues of transferring waste into waste energy, and how will that assist to light up some of the townships or communities that are around. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, Member Musai.
Thank you very much, Chair, and greetings to you, MEC, the HOD, and the officials and members. Ke dumedisa le di-stakeholder setting. Chair, I think the observation that we made as a committee, and I'm sure that maybe it's one of the questions we sent to the department, was on the energy budget. It seems to have disappeared. Maybe if we just get an explanation on what happened. And yeah, let me thank the department for that presentation. The second one, Chair, that I really am more concerned is I think whether it's debt recovery or revenue collection, because I think those, they go together, they work hand in hand. So I would want to understand then what is the department's role in terms of, or if there's any coordination between Treasury, CoGTA, and DID in ensuring that the government departments that do owe the municipalities to assist them, in terms of their budget and for them to be able to deliver services. What then is the role of CoGTA in terms of the IGR? And whether, because obviously this affects the budgeting and the planning and service delivery. So if that is done. And there's one thing that I would also want to understand, I'm not sure where it falls, but I know that the municipalities will be involved, but the initiates, there's programs in terms of the initiates, cultural programs that are happening now, Mabulu and all that. Is the department involved, and are there any budgets allocated to that? Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much. I hope, MEC, you will understand where I'm coming from. I have an observation that we've introduced austerity measures in Gauteng disguised as budget cut. So I would like to hear your comment there. Because generally, that's what I observed. And secondly, given this budget cut, how are you going to impact on municipalities, particularly as it relates to turning them to be financially sustainable? How are we going to do that? Because I can see even on allocation to municipalities, there's cuts. So how are we going to do that? So related to that, it's anything smart, we all know, requires resources, right? And with this budget cut, I really have no hope that we will be in the position to can implement what Member Raslungan is saying is good. I agree with you, looks very good there, but I really have less hope that you would be able to, given these budget cuts that are happening. I thought I must start there, let me see. But I'm also, and I think my colleagues have covered many of the areas I wanted to speak to. But I'm also worried about this issue of the grants and the EPWP. How do we explain that? I'm trying to make sense out of it, but it's getting more and more difficult for me to understand it. Two more last issues. Well, they are related on the revitalization of CBD. The problem there is that I can't see the coherence that should be there between the department and the municipalities. What I'm afraid of is because in most cases, once politicians start to raise concern around issues, all of us sing the song. But as to whether we understand the lyrics of the song, it's another story. So it's easy for people to say revitalization, so they make you to feel good about it. You think, hey, these people have heard me. And only to find that at the end of the day, there's no plan, or nothing is going to happen. It will be that kind of the talk that will not produce anything. It's linked also to hijacking or buildings that have been hijacked. I must say I'm failing to see any plan. What is it that we are going to do, in a sense? I hear we're talking about it because everybody's talking about it. But in a sense, what is the plan there? As I said, I'll leave it there because my colleagues have covered me on a number of issues. Okay, but the last two ones, the energy thing, Member Musai asked it, maybe there's an explanation. Maybe it's a program that as a department you no more need, or it has gone somewhere, I don't know. You'll have to explain to us. Compensation of employees, 35 million or so, cut or something of that nature, yeah. So let's sit at where I am. My sense is that you'll not be able to employ even a single person unless the negotiations that you are having with Treasury produces results. But the question is, when they were allocating, they are aware of your need, and what will make them to think differently now, having done what they have done. And the related question to that will be, MEC, what will be the impact of this cut on compensation of employee? What will be its impact on our or on the departmental endeavor to support municipalities as such? Thank you. MEC, in a manner that you want. Or am I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I thought I had, maybe I misunderstood.
Oh, no, we're getting the submissions
Yeah,
first, and then we are right, yeah. I got
Baeng
it
le
wrong.
bona re ba botšiše dipotšišo gore re araba re arabe once ka nako
Ehe.
e tee. Yeah.
Yeah. Then one shebise ka tsela e nngwe, ke sa understanding, but they will help me. Bagaetsho, ke nako ya lona. Botsisang. Le botsa ka language ya lona. Bozang nge language yakho. And then we'll translate it. Can you raise hands so that I take hands? And then we don't go back. So 1, 2, any, even if it's a comment, or we represented you very well. Say another.
Thank you and good morning to everyone. I greet the house at large. Bomama no tata. Zeningabi nexhala ukuthetha. Nibabone ematafuleni nje. Asuka ukuthi ezidlini bayeva. Endicinga ukuba asizelanga ubala apha. Sizobeka izikhalazo. Sibaningi ukuthi kungaba nezandla ezimbili nezintathu. Umuntu makasukume athethe ngolwimi lwakhe. Ke tshepa hore la nkutlwa kaofela akere. Ha ra tlela tiemo re tletse o tlo beha ditsietsi tsa rona. Le go tlo utlwisisa tshebetso e mmuso o re fang yona. Jwale bongateng ba rona mo ha ke a lebella matsoho a mabedi a mararo. A re beng le dipotso le ditshwaelo go baeteledipele ba rona. Thank you, honorable members. I do understand the budget as outlaid, but my concern is the implementation. We have heard the analysis of the budget, but we haven't heard the plan, the strategic and the tactic of how the budget is going to work. When it comes to the issue here, EPWP, it breaks my heart when I think where it comes from and how it came about. It hasn't delivered its mission. And today it's in your budget. As we started it, there was no salary payment, it was just an allowance. But still it hasn't delivered. My honorables, go to our locations and see the status of our clinics and hospitals. See the status of our local municipality offices. I must say it, it's filthy, it's unaccommodative. You are speaking of the disabilities, people living with disability. The structures in our locations, don't accommodate them. Guys, you have been speaking for years and years. You are formulating this budget, but we don't see where it goes to, and we don't see its purpose, because there isn't any improvement in our locations. We don't deny to pay for the services, but the question is, what are we paying for? Now, with respect, my honorables, I think it's about enough. It's about enough. Always you're breaking down the budget, but we don't see the work of the budget. At the present moment, we are talking about the buildings that are being hijacked. I don't know, when did we start reporting about that? Before it could be even named, foreign names. Before it could be fully owned by foreigners. You know very well that our rurals are not yet developed. So there's no way in which we could say people from rural areas shouldn't come to the urban areas. Everybody wants a greener pasture. We all want to live better. And as you speak, we're speaking about the student accommodation. What about the employers' accommodation? Because we do have workers in the urban areas who are from rurals. And we agreed to do away with the hostels because of the atmosphere of the hostels and the behavioral of the hostels. We agreed to do away with them. I don't hear you talking about the employees, residential. And I'm telling you, no one will leave Joburg and go to the homelands or to the rurals when it's still not developed. Please, we're already old. We've started this thing, really bad, charnel energy. Kajeni bile re godile. Go buiwa, mara no implementation. Ba golo tle ka tlhompo le boikokobetso. Re kopa ho bona tswelo pele. A ke batlo boeletsa mantswe a builweng ke bontate ba buileng like ha ke a utlwa kapa ke utlwisise. Exactly, ha bona hane le qadile ka rona, ya ba rona re beyang di-point tse beilweng ke bagolo ba leng ko di-officing. Yaanong le qetella ka rona e tla ba ka re pheta se bona ba se buileng. But I'm definitely sure gore without our inputs, you'll never be able to draw a budget. Because you draw a budget based to our needs. But where's the implementation of our expectations and needs?
Thank you. RFN number 2. You have almost concluded it on behalf of the public. Thank you.
Ngithanda ukubingelela uMEC nawo wonke ama-officials, ngibingelela umphakathi wonke. Lo okhulumayo umuzi Dladla from eThembisa. Silana sizo representa iThembisa. Ngithanda ukubonga kakhulu ukuthi nathi as i-community nis invite sibe yiphathi yale meeting. Ngoba eqinisweni i-budget before ni drafta bekumele ibe khona i-community. Ngoba yithi esihlale community, ku community sizaziyo lezinto. Nina nihlale emadrobheni, anazi kwenzakalani elokishini. It's very important ukuthi i-public participation always manage i-budget ne draft. Itingene ku participation. Yeah, kuqala nikhulume nge100 jobs ukuthi izoba khona. Kule 100 jobs ku social media i-Department of CoGTA ikhulume also about a youth program. Kule 100 jobs as a community yaseThembisa ekuroleni bengcela i-youth ibe khona kule 100 jobs. I-youth mayiba khona bengcela amanye ama-stakeholders what that program kube i-community. Why na? Senzela ukuthi ngaphambilini some of the government officials endabeni ye-employment bafaka ama-families, friends. Magna public participations sikwema logo ukuthi employment ifike emphakathini wakithi. 2, ku-issue ye-energy sine problem nge-CCC endaweni yaseThembisa. Kune issue ye-networking sokuthi ama-services awahambi phela boma 2 to 3 days. Number 3, besicela ukuthi uma umphakathi ukweleta kwamasipala kunalento ye statement le masithi ukolota 10,000 bathi i-current levy ekumele uyikhokhe is 4,000. Mawunganayo le 4,000 shoot abakulayiteli. I-request yethu ku-Department of CoGTA noma umuntu anganayo that 4,000 ane 2000 as long loyo muntu akhiphile uyakhombisa ukuzimisela ukuthi uyawabhadala ama services mabamkhanyisele. Number 3, waste management. Sine issue ethembisa yododi esemakhoneni. Besicela Department of CoGTA assiste ngama resources. Amakhansela wangakithi ethembisa aye wakhipha ama well-being. Kwatholakala ukuthi ayashoda kunemizi eminingi engawatholanga. Besicela Department of CoGTA is assisting ngama well-being. Ama well-being asiza ukuthi udodi siufake kuma well-being. So ungalahlele emakhoneni kugqwale inkukuma or udodi. Besicela lolo sizo. Endabeni ye Department of CoGTA ukhuluma nge-revitalization ye 10 CBD. Angazi imaphi lawo akhuluma ngawo ngoba zanga asithebulele wona. Kepha thina khona nathi siwazi esumphakathi. That is why ngithi ezinye zezinto manenza ibudget nathi si-involving. Ngoba khona nase Kempton Park lawo ma building occupy ama Nigeria. Angazi wona na kule 10 leyo ayiphathi yale 10 leyo. Okugcina bengicela nikhulume also about social equity. Social equity, there's an issue here indigent. Ethembisa umphakathi wakithi awuyitholi indigent. Umasipala akasizi nge-indigent. Besicela i-Department of CoGTA isize nge-indigent eyenzakala emphakathini wakithi. Okugcina my last point. Emphakathini wakithi in terms of traditional involvement, emphakathini wakithi sinabo mama abaphethe amatshitshi eintombi. Ngizwile ukuthi Department of CoGTA iyo esiza labo bomama ngokuthi babe semthethweni. Bengicela ukuthi nis-attendele yona department that issue. Ngiyabonga.
Thank you very much. Mama, the first speaker ke batlo re kana ko ngwe ha se matsogo a mangata a leng hore a etsa a difference. Le buile le two fela, but I'm sure even the department etla dumelana le nna. You raised very critical issues that affecting society. You might have raised them from perspective here Tembisa or perspective here Kotswangkuting, but we understand them from a perspective here province Kaufela. That's number one. I think number two, Salona, the MEC is there. We are here also. That we've got to do better in terms of who involve community on the budgetary processes. And I'm thinking that one of the things of doing that MEC is to look at how can we link up even with local government, particularly when they deal with their IDPs, because planning must happen co-hoarding. It's better when the planning happen at the ward and all of so we must think about it and how we can relate ourselves with it. But later in our plan now, these kind of meetings, I'm sure we will try to do better as the legislature, strengthen the public participation so that by the time members sit here, they more or less have a framework of why they are here so that they are not caught by surprise. I think we'll deal with those issues. That being that, I would give the whole thing back to MEC in whatever manner that you want to manage the process. You'll do that for us in answering the questions, the comments, and everything else that has been raised. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Chair, and let me thank the community members also for their questions. Let's acknowledge those questions. The HOD has also managers who are here managing different programs. I think it will be good also for them to speak to issues that relate to their portfolios. But otherwise, Chair, I propose that the HOD and the team take up the issues, and I will come back at the end when they are done. HOD?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, and the MEC, and all the inputs from members. Chairperson, just starting with some of the members' inputs in relation to the traditional councils. Yes, 1% has been allocated in addition to what we had. It is the smallest portion of the budget. And Chair, that entire funds does not go to the traditional communities. There is a portion that goes into parts of the work that we are doing in the administration, specifically that unit, but the breakdown can be provided. We do get various requests for support from the two traditional councils. MEC visits them often, but we can provide that detail. The same applies to the 100,000 jobs. That's now across the departments, across the two departments that the MEC is responsible for. And Chair, we have also started a process now that as part of monitoring the performance of municipalities, they need to report on local economic development. How many jobs have they created? Is it sustainable jobs? Is it temporary jobs? And we monitor those. And we have received a concern from various members that municipalities often look at their friends, family, and favorites. So we're going into a bit of detail when we analyze that information, but it has been a concern that has been raised. Chair, the same applies to EPWP. We wanted to get an additional allocation from national, but of course, when you make the proposals, it's the exclusive authority of national to allocate, and then of course in the budget adjustment, there can be a review. And that is specifically to deal with unemployment-related issues. Insofar as the CBD is concerned, Chair, the whole CBD concept aims to address the overall well-being in the city. We're looking at the property owners, but also hawkers and your street vendors, so that we can regularize the area, but also make sure that there is demarcated areas for them. We said that taxi ranks needs to become vibrant economic zones, and as they become vibrant economic zones, we want to make sure that these hawkers are close to that economic activity. And Chair, looking at how we plans to roll out, yes, we know when it comes to implementation, we are often a bit delayed, but Chair, the strategy has now been developed. The CBD process has been developed. We started in the CBD of Joburg. We have now gone into Mfuleni because the complaints, and as members are well acknowledged, has been increasing in that particular area. We needed to go back and see what needs to be done, how the municipality needs to be supported. And we obviously, as part of the IDP process, we have now asked municipalities, tell us which areas in your IDP process will be elevated as part of the local government turnaround. We have ensured that water is a key area, electricity is a key area, and the CBD revitalization is also a key area, because it shouldn't just be seen as a by-the-way project. It needs to be integrated in their planning. It needs to be form part of their budget so that we can monitor them. And of course, Chair, we cannot do this on our own. With the CBD revitalization in Joburg, we have now gotten my Josie with a number of stakeholders. We have recently signed an agreement with the Church of Scientology. I see they have also requested now to put up a marquee where they will bring in all the youth in the city as well to assist with the cleanup and the revitalization campaign. And it's a project that MEC is leading. We hope to meet with them next week, and we hope to start our further cleanup campaigns in the city. Of course, Chair, with the pronouncement by the President, the Presidential Working Group forms a key part of the work that we are doing. And we have asked the city to develop a strategy on hijacked buildings. That strategy has now been approved by Council, and as part of the IDP process, hijacked buildings form a key part of the delivery machinery. So we plan to monitor that quite closely. Chair, in terms of conditional grants, what we can do is we make submissions and we wait from national to get whether there is a submission for CoGTA. But in terms of energy, Chair, by the time we finalized the budget, we were still implementing the energy project phase 2. We are basically done with energy phase 2. We have recently conducted a workshop. We have outlined what the energy project for phase 3 needs to be. And that's a process that will form part of the budget adjustment going forward. So a clear business case will be prepared. And Chair, by the time we have conducted the assessment on energy, the work that needs to be done in communities against the budget that we have allocated by far exceeds that budget. So you need to prioritize. Other communities, not all of them have been fully prioritized. We obviously have to prioritize based on the areas that has been the longest without power. But we also believe that looking at the integrated service delivery dashboard, there has been a number of complaints from communities that we have not come to them as well. So we hope with the further rollout of the energy project, we can look at that as well. Chair, water losses is a serious problem because it impacts on the ability of the municipality to collect revenue. And the SPV that we are establishing in Mfuleni that has now been approved, if that can work, we want to replicate that to all the municipalities. And that is a performance-based contract where the work that has been done through the different agencies, you only pay once you see the results and once you reduce leakages and you reduce non-revenue water. But it is a pilot project. MEC is running weekly engagements with Rand Water and municipalities. And we have now requested the intervention of Minister of CoGTA and also the Minister of Finance to deal with that. But Chair, we also do note a number of communities have complained that as CoGTA, we're going into the various municipalities. Do we see the impact of what we are doing? Isn't it time for stricter action? We have been asked those questions, and we are working closely with municipalities to deal with that and also try to improve the work that they are doing. Chair, student accommodation is a key part of the revitalization strategy. We know that WITS, for instance, UJ have requested the utilization of some of the buildings, and the city are considering that. Chair, we are trying to take a cabinet memo to the Executive Council. Whilst we believe the debt owed by provincial government to municipalities have slightly reduced, municipalities feel that as the provincial government, we need to do more to settle the debt owed by the province to municipalities. There is, of course, a number of disputes, but we felt that where there is no disputes, there should be payment for service delivery. And MEC is spearheading a process that we'll take to the Executive Council. Whilst we have a number of structures in place with Treasury, with CoGTA, and municipalities to deal with revenue management and payment of services, we believe, Chair, that we need to do more. We have seen that municipalities are owing ESCOM. We have seen the debt increasing. They're owing Rand Water, the debt increasing. I'm sure with the cost that we can carry for them and pay for services, it can relieve the burden on them. And Chair, looking at where we are, based on the questions that you have even posed, as it is, as the accounting officer, I've placed a moratorium on the filling of all vacant positions because we do not have that funds. As we sit with all the warm bodies in CoGTA, I won't be able to pay for everyone. So it would be reckless of me to continue with the filling of vacant positions. So it means the employment equity process, appointment of senior managers, appointment of females in senior management positions will have to take a back step because we need to finalize the budget. And at this stage, if Treasury is going to give us funds, it will merely to look at what we have available in the current workforce. And it will not only be to fill vacant positions. We have received approval for less than just below 50 vacant positions that we can fill. That cuts across the organization. But as a result of the funding constraints, we have to put that on hold, Chair. So as part of the plan. And even last year, Chair, the question that the committee posed on the planning house, by the time we were subjected to compulsory budget cuts last year, we had to convene what we call our in-year monitoring committee, where we looked at all the expenditure in the project. Some of the projects that were delayed as a result of tender processes, like the planning house, I've put them on hold because I needed to reallocate the funding because all of us, as a result of the economic conditions, were subjected to compulsory budget cuts. So, and of course, you then reallocate the funds to where there is a need. And of course, Chair, as you reallocate funds, you cannot really take funds from disaster management. What if something happens in Gauteng? You need to support the homeless. You need to ensure that where there is people that's affected by the rainfall, any other disasters, you need to support whilst we're waiting for funding from national. Local government support, Chair, I have talked about a risk-based approach. The risk-based approach, looking at the 2 municipalities where the biggest risk lies, we want to bring them to clean and accountable governance and also clean audit outcomes. That's where the risk is and that's where we need to focus on. So municipal support must continue. Support to municipalities for disaster management and fire services must continue, albeit at a lower scale in comparison with our previous resources. Chair, I must say that as we move towards the process of implementing the budget, it doesn't mean that the reallocation of the re-looking at our budget, what's available in reallocations is going to stop. It's going to be a continuous process. And as we look at the support that CoGTA provides to municipalities, we must also look at where the gaps are. If I have technical gaps in terms of capacity, legal and labor relations is a key area in municipalities where a lot of money goes into. And if CoGTA provides that support, we can assist them. So that's one of the gaps that I need to look at. And Chair, going forward, we also feel that municipalities need to strengthen their work in communities. They need to strengthen community engagement, and CoGTA needs to ensure that they do that. But we also want to, as we enhance our monitoring capacity, we want to make sure that we hold municipalities accountable. Chair, I think just looking at some of the questions that was posed by the committee, I think the only outstanding question that we have responded to, Chair, was the issue relating to the municipal planning tribunals. Whilst the municipal planning tribunals is functioning, in the Western District, they have opted for one district municipal planning tribunal that will take care of all the locals in that area. But Chair, a number of delays has been experienced with that, specifically when it comes to land development applications, delays in decision-making, outstanding documentation that's not provided timely. And if there is no synergy between the property owners and the requirements from the municipal planning tribunals, of course there will be delays. But we hope, Chair, that with the municipal spatial development framework, the intervention of CoGTA, it's an area that we can fast track. And then just on slide 51 of the presentation, we're sharing with you how many allocations has been made, how many hearings has been held by these municipal tribunals over the last year. Chair, I think in essence I've covered all the questions. I don't know, the CFO and the management team can provide input if there are any outstanding matter, and we can then hand over to the MEC. Is there something to
Before we can do that, MEC, I realized I think it's my mistake. I did not give the AG time to either ask a question or to make input. So at this time, I want to do that so that when the managers and everybody respond, they take that into account. Even yourself, when you close, you take that into account. AG, is there anything you want to raise with us?
Thank you, Chair. From the AG, we don't have any questions, but just to comment in that, with CoGTA to stay close with municipalities when it comes to implementation. We do audit the supports that they provide municipalities. And as well in terms of the budget, staying close to monitoring and making municipalities accountable. I think that is where we're finding most of the issues. The support is there, but now when it comes to accountability, when it comes to implementation by municipalities. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. You may proceed in that manner. CFO.
Thank you, Chair. May I request, Chair, that we just load back the presentation? I just want to go to a few slides in responding to some of the issues that were raised. Thank you. Thank you very much. If we can just go to the beginning of the presentation, to slide 4. Thank you, Chair. I think it's important that we just provide clarity with regard to the position of CoGTA with regard to, its mandate, its, relationship, with municipalities, other departments, so that we actually understand what this budget is about and also the priorities that CoGTA is outlining. Firstly, the reason I want to go through this slide that is up there is to just provide, the role of CoGTA. CoGTA is, the primary role is oversight of the municipalities, making sure that we monitor municipalities, we evaluate the services, of municipalities overall. We do reporting, proper reporting, but then where there is a need for support, that we come in and we provide that support which AG was actually talking about. But that's not the only role of CoGTA. The second role of CoGTA, which is key, is that CoGTA is the nucleus of the different spheres of government and stakeholder. It's basically the center of coordination. And when we talk smart cities, my apology about smart meters. When we talk smart cities, it's not in your mind, and I can hear from the questions that you're looking at this smart city, just the bigness of it, and you're thinking, with this budget that CoGTA is presenting, how is this possible? And the smart meters, apologies once again. The smart cities, it's not just CoGTA concept. It's a provincial concept. So when you're looking at smart meter, okay.
She wants to work for city power.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you're looking at that diagram, that presentation, you can see all the different, principles of what the province say. This is what a smart meter is the goal of the smart cities concept that we are working towards. It's not a CoGTA, issue, it's all departments, all the relevant stakeholders. If you look at all those guiding principles, we're looking at infrastructure, services, social facilities, housing. We're looking at everything that a citizen in Gauteng must have in order for us to say we have smart cities in Gauteng. So that's the number one that you should look at. But CoGTA is at the center. If you look at all of those, they are provided by different departments and of course municipalities. And CoGTA is at the center of that in terms of integration. That's what we're talking, integrated, planning, integrated service delivery. That is where CoGTA sits, at the center of that and also outside. Integration, oversight with regard to municipalities. So everything that we're talking about when you think is smart meters, the number of jobs that are going to be created, that's not CoGTA jobs that are going to be created. It's the provincial number of jobs, and here MEC will please, if I'm making mistakes, that I be corrected. But it's a provincial priority. When we go to the next slide, so the budget that we are presenting, CoGTA is not allocated budget for infrastructure or for water, or it's allocated budget for ensuring that the services, its core mandate of providing oversight, ensuring integration and coordination. That's what the budget is about. I think that is important to have that understanding, that whole budget of 551, it's not to ensure there is water, it's to provide oversight to all the, especially the municipalities, because that's our core mandate. The budget for ensuring that there's water, electricity, those services, it's allocated directly to municipalities from national department. But then the province itself in Gauteng, from its equitable share, will then provide that additional budget to provide support to municipalities. That's additional budget. It's not the core budget. The municipalities receive their core budget from national, those grants for infrastructure, grants for different things. So I thought it's important that we have that understanding. But then it's important to also understand that CoGTA does not just in isolation then come up with priorities. Whatever that we are doing, it is emanating from what has been spoken, pronounced, and planned from a provincial level. When you look at slide 5, then you will recall that the Premier made announcements, those pronouncements to say, as a province, we have identified that where we are currently, these are the key problems that we've identified, those 13 problems. They're not the only problems, but the Premier has said, and his cabinet, these are the key problems that we are prioritizing. And as you look at those problems, they are from there's different departments that are responsible for all those. But as CoGTA, the reason we're bringing it here is because it is our responsibility as the nucleus of coordination, integration, and providing oversight, especially because we are the ones that are integrating with the local municipalities that are at the front line of service delivery. So I'm just trying to outline so that the understanding. So when we go to the slide number 6, the two departments, CoGTA, DID, and GIFA, which is a state-owned entity, they are reporting to MEC Mama Wolo. And because we're talking integrated, service delivery, then the MEC decided that it was appropriate that the departments do not work in isolation, hence the tripartite agreement, but also looking at each and every strength of those departments, that DID infrastructure, GIFA, sources of funding, and then of course CoGTA, the IGR that we have already outlined. And that's where, so as a department, we taking the priorities outlined by the Premier, we coming down to say, as a department, what is it that we're focusing on that fits into coming from what the Premier has pronounced. I will not go into detail explaining everything, but then slide number 7 outlines really the objectives where you wanted to know how are these plans going to be, implemented. You don't see the plan. And then I'm not gonna go through each and every one of the slides, but then I will just go straight to this slide on the service, the delivery priorities. Those are the delivery priorities of the Department of CoGTA to say, we understand the goal of the province is building smart cities. The 13 key problems have been identified, priorities have been laid out as CoGTA in terms of those priorities, those problems. What is our priorities? They are not in isolation, they're talking to provincial priorities. And as a department now, in slide 5, we're saying our focus, we will look at the revitalization of CBDs, which I'll talk to that. And we're looking at the energy strategy, we're looking at the integrated spatial planning, the implementation of water availability, integrated planning and cooperative governance, and once again, those smart cities. So we are part of all the departments and stakeholders. Let me start with the CBD revitalization. We mentioned that there's 10 cities that have been identified. Yes, at the moment we're focusing primarily on, city of Johannesburg, but we are not working alone as CoGTA. We are coordinating that entire project of CBD revitalization. The HOD has already spoken about some of the stakeholders like Josie, my Josie. There's other organizations and entities, and I think NGOs as well, that are part of that program. But CoGTA is responsible for the coordination of that. In other cities, we have not left them out, but we said, look, we need to focus on COJ, but there are other activities that we are conducting parallel as we are focusing on COJ, and we continue to include in that. And members of the public also, within the CBD program, there is how members are actually involved, like we've already spoken about the NGOs. And then, of course, this is now all the deliverables that have been outlined in the MEC's delivery agreement. That basically, that's basically our plan, operational plan of those 5 priorities that CoGTA will be focusing on. I thought it is important that I outline that so that when we look at the budget, we don't discount it and say, no, this budget is too small, CoGTA is talking too big, when actually it's not. It's important that you understand the role. Now, in terms of municipalities, we understand all the challenges that municipalities are facing, and as I indicated, you've seen our budget, our programs that are focusing at providing oversight, but also providing support to municipalities. So we continue to monitor the performance of the municipalities, we continue to engage, and we continue to hold them accountable. We must indicate we acknowledge that has not been adequate, and we continue to ensure that we address all the gaps that are there. Also, working with other departments. Let me talk about the IDP, because it's important to talk about the issue of public participation. Municipalities, they prepare their IDPs, and when they conduct their consultative meetings with the public, CoGTA coordinates the involvement of other departments in those consultative forums, so that other departments, they will look at the IDPs and ensure that municipalities have actually taken into account the pressing needs of the communities where they are in. For example, when we talk in school, we talk in hospitals, we talk in streets, we talk in safety, all the various departments are supposed to be, they are invited to be in every consultative. So if there is a meeting in Tembisa or whatever concerning that, the other departments must be in those meetings so that they can look at the special, especially in terms of special planning. It's, you know, they have an understanding of the needs also when they go back to their departments and they do their plans around the services that they provide. So that is how CoGTA plays a role in terms of making sure that the public is actually taken into account when, in relation to their needs. Lastly, let me just talk to the issue of initiation. It is in program for traditional institutional management. And let me also clarify so that we don't put the two traditional leaders in trouble. The 22 million that's allocated, it is not allocated for the traditional leadership. It is allocated for the functions that the department performs in relation to supporting traditional functions, and that include in Gauteng the true traditional leadership that we have. But the functions that we are funding, they are far more than actually what those traditional leadership get. It's a very small fraction of that 22 million. The initiations, that's part of our functions, making sure we provide monitoring during initiation, both the winter and the summer initiation, making sure that we actually identify those bogus initiation school. We work with other, the SAPs, other law enforcement. We work with the Premier's office, and we work with other provinces as well to address issues of kidnapping of initiates across provinces. That's one part. Also stakeholder engagements during times of reviews of legislation, like the demarcations, we are responsible for that. So that 22 million should not be looked at in line with, the two traditional leaderships. No, they get only a very small fraction of what that 22 million. I think, let me pause it there. I thought it was important to provide that clarity. Thank you very much, Chair.
Can I ask that the other leaders also pick up issues? HOD.
Issue for Amachich is the reads, I think. Amachich, would you support such? Because I did not hear you making reference to it.
Chair, I don't know if the other leaders would like to. Yeah.
She wants to respond to the one.
Oh, I wanted to just talk to the issue of the rates. I think before I go to the rates, the issue of indigent register was raised. The Premier actually pronounced on that. As CoGTA, we are responsible for that project. It's in progress, making sure that we standardize the indigent register for all municipalities so that we don't have a problem of this municipality applying this. So we wanna be able to make sure that we have a standard definition of who qualifies. So that project is underway, but at the same time, different municipalities, they have their policies, their programs. We are working with them as we are integrating the indigent register. Now, the issue of payment arrangements with municipalities, we provide oversight on that, but it's an issue that we will look into with other municipalities to say what are the payment arrangements that, what are the underlying factors that are being looked into when payment arrangements are made with, the public. But we're not in a position as CoGTA to go and dictate to municipalities how they should actually structure the payment arrangements. But service delivery satisfaction is at the core when we are engaging municipalities around that. Thank you.
I wanted to ask them to come in one by one, but let me leave them for now. No, Chair, let me just make few points and acknowledge the AG. I hope the fact that we didn't acknowledge them wouldn't lead to a qualification of our books. So sincere apologies about that. Maybe before I come to the issues that were raised by members, let me just acknowledge the issues that were raised by the community leaders who are here. And ke re go bona ke re ditaba tše ba di boletšeng re di kwele. Ka Sepedi tsebe a ena sekhurumelo ba re boditše re kwele re tla re di lebelela re ya pele mo re ka kgonang gore bjalo ka ge modulasetulo a boletše a re re tla improve ka mokgwa re berekang ka gona gore re kgone gore re lebelele ditaba tše batho ba di boletšeng mo meeting o. Ke rata go no re go bona ke re ba kwele I'm sure ge re ya pele re tla kgona gore re šome go ya le ka mokgwa ba re eleditšeng ka gona. Ba no e ke nyaka gore ba tsebe gore awa dipolelo tša bona re kwele. Diplane di gona ke nnete ga ra fa chair the strategic plan sa department represent ile budget empa ke bona re go kaone gore ba tsebe gore ditšhelete tše di go bolelwang ka tšona mo di eme godimo ga diplane tše di beng gona. Ngwaga ka ngwaga re submita diplane mo komiting yona ye re bontšha gore re tlo šoma bjang ngwagong o bjanong ditšhelete tše di beilweng mola di ikeme godimo ga diplane tše di-managera ka mo departmenting ba di dirileng. Re kwele gape ba re participation ya batho e išiwe godimo ge go diriwa di-budgete ke a tshepa le yona mo re kwele. Dimasepala ba na le mokgwa wa bona o ba reng ge ba dira diplane ba mema di-community ga re tsebe gore na molaetša wa le fitlhela na ge ba bitša dilo tše di bitswang di-IDP ba le kgona go hwetša molaetša ba fitlha mo go lena na empa re tla re go lena ra re go bohlokwa gore dimasepala le di-councilora ge ba bitša di-meeting tše tša diplane tša bona tša dimasepala bjalo ka ge modulasetulo a boletše ke nnete go bohlokwa gore badudi ba be gona mo diplaneng tša masepala ge di bolelwa ga re tsebe gore molaetša o a fitlha na empa re tla re go bona ra re le bona ba kaonafatše mokgwa wa bona wa go mema community gore tle di-meeting tša bona gore ba se ka swara di-meeting le sa tsebe. Bjanong taba yeo re tla re lokiša le dimasepala. Go na le taba e ba e boletšeng ya gore mafelo a mantši mme o e boletše le ntate kwa morago gore go na le mafelo a mantši mo Gauteng a e leng gore ga a hlweka ditšhila ga ba di tše dintši di dutše mo strateng mola dikhoneng o bona go na le mokgobo wa ditšhila tše e leng gore dimasepala ga ba kgone gore ba di tloše. Bjanong ke rata gore go badudi ke re tabe re a e tseba and re lebellane le yona ke le botše gore ka mo masepala wa Emfuleni kgwedi e fetileng ye re tšwang go yona re feditše dibeke tše pedi re thuša masepala go cleana dithaba le meboto ya matšhile e be e tletše ka mola masepaleng. Re feditše beke tše pedi re thušana le masepala go cleana ka mo Emfuleni. Bjalong program e re dirileng ka mo Emfuleni e be ile go bona gore na re ka thoma bjang gore ro thuša dimasepala tše dingwe. Mo presidente deputy president Paul Mashatile o batlile ka mo Kliptown at lo launcha program ya gore go cleaniwe. Bjanong ke rata gore go lena HOD o boletše e ka no ba le sa mo kwa le yena o reng go swana mo Joburg re na le program e re dirang ka di Friday ya go cleaner. Re bereka le ba city ya Joburg. Beanong le yona e sa tlo tswela pele. Re dira ebile re godisha. Le kreke ye nngwe gona ba re ke ba Scientology. Go na le di stakeholder ka mo city ya Joburg re bereka le bona. Beanong taba ya go cleaner re kwele re a e tseba. Re tlo ya di masepaleng ka ona mokgwa re dirileng ka mo Emfuleni. Re ilo kgonthišiša gore mafelo a tlhwekišwa. Beanong ke rata gore go lena ke re tabe wen re e kwele re e lebeletše re swaragane le yona. And then ile tše dingwe tše ba di buletšeng motlakase le ba bantši ba lena le ka no ba le tseba le ka no ba le sa tsebe gore Premier Lesufi o ile a kitima le province e le yena modulasetulo o ba e gona ka pele re ya dikgethong program e tlo tšwela pele go fiwa di community di transformer mafelong a mantši a ba sena motlakase ba tsentšheditšwe di transformer a se mafelo ka moka empa taba ya motlakase re a e tseba le yona gore go na le mafelo a mantši a e leng gore go sa na le bothata a motlakase re na le kwano le ba city power gore ba re thuše especially mo di masepaleng tše e leng gore ga gona bokgoni bja mmušo bja go lokiša mathata a electricity ga re a fetša re santse re tšwela pele ka ona go bona gore na re ka dia bjang taba tša di solar le a di tseba le tšona ke tše dingwe tša mekgwa e re e lebelelang gore na re ka thuša bjang mo mafelong ao batho ba dulang go bona gore go be le motlakase taba yeo re šoma le dimasepala go na le mafelo a mantši go tsentšhitšwe mabone a le a bitšwang a le a go ya kua godimo ka re bila ya marong bjalo I'm sure batho ba a tseba mabone ao a tsentšhitšwe mafelong a mangwe ga se mafelo ka moka empa le tšona tšeo re di lebeletše tše ba di boletšeng tša motlakase taba ya mešomo mo Gauteng mopremier o boletše ka taba ya ntho e bitšwang NASISPANE e le lenaneo la gore re a tseba bothata bja mešomo bjalong program yeo e santse tšwela pele e tlo oketšwa e kgonthišiše gore re fa batho ba bangwe gape mešomo re a tseba gore bothata bja go hloka mešomo mo Gauteng bo gotše ke bjo bontši re lebeletše le gore ke nnete bjalo ka ge mama a boletše batho ba go tšwa mafelofelo ba tla mo Gauteng ba nyaka bophelo bo bokaone bjalong taba ya mešomo taba ya EPWP le yona dimasepala ba na le yona di-department tša province ba na le yona bjanong e ka no ba e sa fihlelele batho ka moka ga bona empa taba ya mešomo re le kwele re a e tseba ke ka lebaka leo premier rileng e reng re lekeng e ya NASISPANE e thušitše batho ba bantši go na le ba bantši ba e sa ba thušang bjalong re ntse re lebelelane le yona. Honorable members, I was trying to comment on some of the issues that were raised by community members. Now, I want to answer some of the issues that you have raised. Let me start with the House of Traditional Leaders. On this week, I think it was on Tuesday, myself and the mayor of the city of Tshwane and the deputy mayor of the city of Tshwane, we visited the two houses of traditional leaders. Badudi ba kana ba sa tsebo mo Gauteng go na le magoši a mabedi kgoši Mahlangu le kgoši Kekana ka mo ga Manskrala ka mo batho ba re Gauteng ke maboneng ke makgoeng a gona magoši a gona a mabedi go na le ba bangwe ba bantši le bona ba tla ba re ke bona magoši re ba re lebelele taba tša bona bjalong ga gone ba le ba babedi fela. On Tuesday we visited both of them. We went to Chief Mahlangu and Chief Kekana's houses. They are all in the city of Tshwane. So we have agreed with them. The city of Tshwane has not been supporting the houses of traditional leaders. But now they are signing a memorandum of understanding to formalize support to the two houses. We as a province, we have also said, we will go back and look into our resources. Indeed, there are problems there that we need to attend to. And I think we did say to them, we apologized to them that there are certain things that we could have done better. But I just want to assure the House that we're working with the city of Tshwane, and we will be working even much more better to focus on the houses, the two houses of traditional leaders. I just thought, let me mention that point. The other issue, honorable members, when I listen to you, Chair, let me start by saying I've given you the document on smart cities. So let me place it on record, and it should go on the minutes, that I've submitted to the Chair the document on smart cities to give to members to look at the document and to read it. The concept of smart cities is not our concept. It's a concept that CoGTA National is promoting. We worked on that concept. The president of the country, you'll see in the document, has been driving the message of smart cities. Gauteng province itself has been talking about Gauteng as a city region. And the essence of it is to build Gauteng as a single integrated smart city. So the concept of a smart city is a concept that is being talked about not only in South Africa, it's a global concept that people are talking about. So let me say this to you, that I actually realized, Chair, that we need to meet and meet urgent. I wish we could meet before we go to the budget. Because the questions that you have raised, we can try to deal with them here, but I don't think we will be very fair to you, given the time limitations and the space. Let me explain. In this document, we are actually responding as CoGTA, DID, and GIFA to the 13 challenges that have been raised by the Premier. The document is our response as to how do we deal with these challenges in the province. The issues that you have raised, CoGTA alone can't deal with them. There's no way on earth that CoGTA alone, and I must thank the CFO for, in a very correct and comprehensive way, outlining the principles that we are trying to work on of integration. Some of the issues that you are raising relating to CBDs, most of them, particularly the big CBD of the city of Joburg, requires DID and GIFA to make a proper presentation on where we are on this matter. Because the CBD, for example, of the city of Joburg requires investments by DID. And we have appointed GIFA to help us with a PPP process to make sure that we can better invest in the CBD of the city of Joburg, not just to solve buildings accommodation, but to run that as a precinct. Security, street lighting, traffic lights, pavements. The pavings in the city of Joburg make it even difficult to work, to clean and all that. So we need to make investments in the CBD, and I think if I try to talk about that issue now, we don't have time for that. We need to do a proper briefing to you. DID oversees and manage and coordinate EPWP. We have got massive data and information just on the performance of EPWP in the province, which we could share, and that presentation is not here. And of course, we have appointed GIFA to look at the buildings that sits in the government immovable asset register. How do we take these buildings to deal with a number of challenges, including giving some of the land, taking some of the land and buildings, supporting small, micro, medium enterprises. Le batho ba ko makeishene, go na le meago ya government ko makeishene, e leng gore ha e bereke mmereko e swantse o bereke. Some of those buildings we could actually be partnering, but to come occasionally, banyaka the office for the business chabona, banyaka different support in line with the Township Economy Development Act. And I'm saying to you, we need a proper conversation on that. And how we are going to use this immovable asset register to partner with the private sector. We have appointed GIFA to look into that and to assist DID. Chair, the issue of financing municipalities. Municipalities with the population, municipalities will not be able on their own, with their budgets, collecting from residents. The economy is not growing. Many people are unable to pay. The number of indigents has grown. So to finance municipalities through revenue collection alone will not work. The grants that are given and the equitable share by national government, even combined with revenue collection, will not finance big infrastructure projects for our municipalities. That will not work. So that is why, Chair, we have repositioned GIFA and we asked the Premier to bring it into our space. GIFA must help municipalities with raising money to support their big infrastructure programs. GIFA has raised 1.6 billion for the city of Joburg to build state-of-the-art waste-to-energy project. And that project is at an advanced stage. It will be a very good model for Gauteng and the country once that 1.6 billion project has been packaged well. GIFA must be able to come and brief you about that as to how we are dealing with that. Because the issue of landfills in the province, we don't have enough land. And the way we're managing landfills, it's clear that this is not a way to go. We need to take waste and convert it into sources of energy. That is the best way for our province. So GIFA must help with that. Many municipalities have a problem of wastewater treatment plants, which are not meeting the conditions of the Department of Water and Sanitation, the water license use. Most of them, sewer is running all over the place, not properly treated. Municipalities need money to deal with that. And GIFA must help them discuss with National Treasury different alternative sources of funding to deal with that. Triple P partnerships. That's the space where GIFA is doing well. I can go on. We're looking at, there's the project of water supply. You know that National Department of Water and Sanitation, they are pulling massive liters of water from Lesotho to provide to the province and other local municipalities even outside the province. Our municipalities need to be ready to receive that water. Water pumps, energy as well, electricity supply to support water pumping, water storage capabilities, proper pipes that are modern, smart, and that are not irreplaceable. Even some of these old asbestos pipes that blast and leak and water is running in the streets. Municipalities will not be able to use the limited resources to prepare for the Lesotho Highlands Water Project when it comes to completion in 2028-2029 financial year. We need municipalities to be ready. To do that, Chair, requires private sector partnerships and funding to support municipalities. So I can go on and on, Chair, but the point I'm making is municipalities need alternative sources of funding, and that's what GIFA is going to help us with. So we need GIFA to talk to us about how that is going to happen. We need GIFA to tell us. We have been talking about CBD revitalization. We have appointed GIFA to take that concept forward. How are you going to do it, GIFA? That's why we need this meeting. If we go to the budget debate and we have not briefed you on these issues, we're going to have a tough part. We have briefed the CoGTA, the DID team. We need to brief you. So that's why I don't want to go into details about some of the issues, but I just want to say to you that the document, it's an attempt to say, how do the three of us work together? Infrastructure in municipalities is critical to grow the economy. Most of our municipalities are not investing in infrastructure. they're spending money on consumables, on day-to-day operations, massive backlogs in infrastructure delivery, including poor maintenance of infrastructure. So if we don't have good spending on infrastructure, we will not grow the economy of Gauteng. But to batata mo ba re ke Josie Maboneng, there are opportunities. Aba fitla ba kra actually a hona next. Because if we don't grow infrastructure, spend money on infrastructure. Bakra already city at Joburg, if you focus here, city at Joburg. Yene Maboneng. So the point I'm trying to make, Chair, is that the role of GIFA and the document that we're talking about, partnerships with the private sector, but also better spending. You know, municipalities lead department, most of them, they've got a problem of writing proper, good, high-quality documents to submit to Treasury into each one business case. We have asked GIFA to help municipalities, even our departments, to write proper business cases. GIFA has raised 1.5 billion for the Department of Education to build 18 schools. That money was raised by GIFA. Let alone where those schools are on delivery, but GIFA gave Education Department 1.5 billion. So I'm saying that GIFA is well positioned to help us to deal with the issues that you raised of austerity and all that. So, Chair, I don't want to take much of your time. I just wanted to say, also remember, Chair, one other issue that I think the HOD, I don't know if he spoke about it, is that on the 23rd and 24th, you were there, Chair, we had a province-wide turnaround summit in Mogale City. That process is moving very well. Where we are now, we have said to municipalities, go and adopt your IDPs. When you are done with the IDP process, come to us and say, for the next 3 years, these are your priorities. Because we don't want to work outside the IDP process, because these issues will not be sitting with council. So on the turnaround, it's precisely those issues that we're trying to deal with. The AG might be aware that we have made an announcement that municipalities in Gauteng must have a mid-year audit. We have said municipalities in Gauteng, and the AG need to help us enforce that decision, because they've also accepted it, but are they doing it? We need municipalities in Gauteng in the medium term, mid-term of the municipal financial year, to do a mid-term audit and work with the AG. So that audit is not just at the year end once off. We need municipalities to be focused on audit matters throughout the year. And that is an issue that the committee should be helping us to manage. So, Chair, let me leave it here. But say to members, the only point I really wanted to make is, can we have this meeting so that we can brief you with how we're dealing with even community safety? I can talk about this issue on the partnership that we have, where we have brought in municipalities, all of them, into one law enforcement space through the Memorandum of Understanding website. So I just want to say to you, Chair, that let me not take your time, because we are also reaching the time of lunch, and Chair Fofaka Moshwang. Bianong, Erike Tlogele mo, Chair, I won't check a monka. I won't check a monka, Chair. Bang Kwaba Dudi. I won't check a monka. Thank you very much. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, MEC Rohokwele. I can confirm that the administration just indicated to me, showed me that indeed the communication to set up that meeting has already started between the department and ourselves. All I want them to do, Jabu, by Monday, there should be that confirmation. Time it very well so that it must happen before the budget debate as per the request of the MEC. So I can confirm that meeting would sit. Members of the committee, let's do what we're supposed to be doing. We've listened to the presentation itself. We ask our own questions. We allowed stakeholders to ask questions. We got responses from the department itself, including the MEC. There are issues that we will take forward as we move. But I think what is important is that at the end of the day, we've got to move the budget. And then we will have that debate that is going to be taking place in the House. So I'm going to be asking for any honorable member to move for the acceptance of the budget with all of those that we've raised. Thank you. Oh, no, yeah, ne?
We don't want to be seeing who's voting out here. Can we be excused?
Thank you.
Yeah, it will help us, Chair.
I'm not good in protocol, I told them.
Thank you, Chair.
Members of the public can also leave or excuse us. Let's try to lunch re join. It's just an internal matter of the committee. I'm sure our protocol people will show them. I want to win a job. Okay, so we're noting, can we just move one, we're just noting the report
Yes,
with an understanding that we will adopt it on the 11th.
yes, Chair.
In other words, it gives us enough chance to think about it and go through it again and again. And those who must consult the caucuses can do so. That's how I would understand it. Right? So that we don't do what we're doing, adopt and get into the house, do something different. Will that be in order? Sizwe? Ihamba njalo. Wenzani? Okay. No, can I have a member who moves for the noting?
I move, Chair.
The chair move for the noting. Can I have a seconder?
I second, Chair.
Seconded. So we're done with this item. Can we go to the next item? What is the next item? Let me check my.
It's closed. Chair, before we close, can we talk about the meeting here next week? Whether we are physical or virtual? Because initially.
Wait, there's nothing to talk about. It says we're on Teams.
Yes.
So what do you want?
I carried the meeting with the MEC. You wanted to be physical.
But,
And we don't have any other date
but
except-
members were complaining that Friday is inconveniencing them.
Yes.
Am I right, members?
So it should.
No, I'm just saying from my colleagues, we will all not be here. But I don't think it should inconvenience other members. If the day allows for Friday to continue as such, I think we can continue. But given, because I sit on infrastructure, and that meeting that he's requesting had also taken place in that, it requires
The entire committee.
and the entire committee, because there must be engagement and it needs to be physical. So Thursday won't work for us. Oh, sorry, Friday won't work for us.
When is the 15th?
The 15th, it's,
Can't we still a Wednesday? Or sometimes Wednesday we don't have. I know it's caucus days, but sometimes we don't have anything.
yes, members agree.
We are sub.
There's by-elections in Swane.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I still insist that let's try Thursday. Let's do Thursday. It's overstretches us, but there's nothing we can do.
So we need.
Because the other one is on Teams. The Friday one is on Teams. So let's do Thursday. No, we'll do the. You can't even link. But we can do the so that we can link. We can start it in the morning. Let's insist Thursday 9 o'clock. Yeah, let's insist Thursday 9 o'clock so that we end early.
No, I fully support Thursday, but you're holding time. But I'm coming.
It's fine. Yeah. Okay. You will push for Thursday. Eh?
Yes, Chair. We
Yeah.
will also have to request for permission to have the meeting on Thursday because it's not our day.
Doesn't make, yeah, let me not say it doesn't matter. Make that and then get a venue because ne?
We'll do
It
at
should be
the
outside,
legislature. Can we do it at the legislature in one of the committee rooms if they are available?
legislature lona ya lapisa.
I think from how they did it in infrastructure, they were in charge of organizing the venue. So I think it's just us giving them a
Oh, they
date
will
to
organize the venue.
organize,
All right.
yeah.
Okay.
So they organized that.
All right. Thank you very much, members. Let me take this opportunity to thank you for attending this meeting. It was a good meeting, I must say. And I think there was some level of transparency from the department insofar as the agenda, I mean, the budget itself is concerned, and explanations that were provided on a number of issues, particularly this one that the smart cities.